Okay, have you ever wanted a houseplant that's like practically immortal? One that actually thrives when you completely forget about it and then out of nowhere rewards you with these stunning chocolate-scented flowers? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the complete care guide for the Hoya carnosa, better known as the wax plant. We are going to walk through the ultimate survival and reward guide for a true heirloom plant. If you can just master the simple art of neglecting this plant the right way, you'll have a botanical companion for decades. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll meet the immortal wax plant. Second, we're going over the essential Hoya care rules. Third, we'll learn the taco test for watering. Fourth, defeating common Hoya pests. Fifth, unlocking those porcelain blooms. And finally, propagating your heirloom plant. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Meet the immortal wax plant, a lifelong heirloom companion. Imagine a plant that's basically the perfect hybrid. It gives you the lush, trailing vibe of a pothos, but with the extreme drought tolerance of a jade plant. It's wild. To really grasp what we're dealing with here, look at this quote from plant expert Anastasia Bermeslow. She talks about having a Hoya propagated from a cutting taken all the way back in 1985. She calls them heirloom plants. So we're not talking about some trendy, delicate little thing that you buy and throw away when it dies a year later. This is a multi-decade investment. Honestly, it routinely outlives its owners. All right, Section 2, Essential Hoya Care Rules, Building the Foundation. To really succeed with a Hoya and build that foundation, we actually have to completely untrain ourselves from standard houseplant care. Seriously, standard potting soil and your normal watering schedule, that'll quickly kill this plant. Instead, we've got to look at how the Hoya carnosa lives in the wild. It's an epiphyte. What does that mean? Well, in the wild subtropical forests of East Asia and Australia, it doesn't even grow in the dirt. It actually grows clinging to tree trunks and branches, with its roots just exposed to the breeze. Because of this, Hoyas absolutely hate having wet feet. Their roots literally need to breathe, or they're gonna rot fast. And this brilliantly shows exactly how we mimic that wild tree bark environment right in a pot. Remember, standard soil is way too dense and it'll suffocate the plant. Check out this DIY chunky soil recipe instead. You're gonna want 1 part potting soil for base moisture and nutrients, 1 part perlite or pumice for drainage, and 1 part orchid bark to create these large air gaps. Mixing these in equal parts creates massive air pockets, and that means even right after you water it, oxygen can still reach those super sensitive epiphytic roots. It's a real game changer. Moving on to Section 3, the taco test for watering. Stop guessing, start testing. The golden rule for our complete care guide is this: water deeply, but infrequently. Honestly, you should only water when the soil is 100% dry. But how do you actually know for sure? Our source gave us this absolutely brilliant tactile trick called the taco test, so you never have to guess again. Here's exactly how it works. Step 1, find a mature leaf near the base of the plant. Make sure you don't use those tiny new baby leaves. And step 2, just using your fingers, gently try to fold that leaf in half lengthwise. Yep, exactly like a taco shell. Now you just evaluate how it feels. If that leaf is stiff and hard, do not water it. The leaf is what we call turgid, meaning it's still packed full of water. If you give it a drink now, you are risking root rot. But if the leaf feels pliable, a bit wrinkly, and bends easily with almost no resistance, kind of feeling like leather, then it is time to water. For all you chronic overwaterers watching, and you know who you are, relying on this simple touch test will absolutely save your plant's life. Before we move on from the basics, we've got to talk about a super common mistake. Do not cut the tentacles. Your Hoya is going to periodically shoot out these long, completely bare, alien-looking vines. A lot of people think, oh, that's dead growth, and they just chop it off. But actually, scratch that, it's not dead at all. These are tendrils actively searching for a tree to climb. So just have some patience, gently wrap that vine around a trellis, and eventually, the plant is going to fill that bare vine with gorgeous, lush leaves. Section 4. Defeating common Hoya pests. Protecting your investment. Look, with any plant, things can sometimes go wrong, but the source material gives us this incredible rapid-fire troubleshooting guide to protect your heirloom plant. You really want to pay attention to the top of the list here. Mealybugs. These guys look like little bits of white, cottony fluff just hiding out in the leaf joints. Honestly, they are the Hoya's absolute arch nemesis, especially for crinkly varieties like the Hindu rope. To defeat them, just dip a Q-tip in 70% rubbing alcohol and dab them. It dissolves their waxy armor instantly. Bam, gone. Now, if you see fine webbing and dusty leaves, you're dealing with spider mites, which really love dry air. Just shower the plant off and raise the room's humidity right away.
For aphids, which usually show up on new growth, a strong stream of water works best. And if you ever spot hard brown bumps on the stems, that's scale. Just scrape them off and treat the stems with neem oil.
All right, Section 5, Unlocking the Porcelain Blooms, the Ultimate Reward.
Okay, this right here is why we go through all the trouble. The flowers. The Hoya carnosa produces these incredible ball-shaped clusters of star-like flowers that literally look like they're carved out of wax or porcelain. Plus, they release this potent fragrance that smells like chocolate, vanilla, or honey. It is amazing. But to actually get there, we need to talk about a concept called sun stress. Now, you might hear plant collectors talk about this and think it sounds bad, but it's actually highly desirable. When a Hoya is placed in really bright light, it produces red or purple pigments called anthocyanins to protect its cells from UV rays. It's essentially a botanical suntan. So if your leaves have this beautiful red or bronze flush, it means your plant is absorbing maximum energy, and that's exactly what it needs to crank out those gorgeous flowers. So what's the secret? How do we actually guarantee flowers? Well, here is the exact bloom-boosting recipe for your complete care guide. First, you need bright, indirect light. An east-facing window is pretty much unbeatable for this. Second, keep the plant tight in its pot. Hoyas really prefer to be root-bound. If the pot is way too big, it's just going to spend years growing roots instead of flowers, so keep it snug in a breathable terracotta pot. Third, you want to let it experience a natural winter temperature drop, down to about 60 degrees Fahrenheit at night. This actually signals the plant to form reproductive buds. And finally, when spring rolls around, feed it a high phosphorus bloom booster fertilizer. And that brings us to what is arguably the single most important rule of flowering Hoyas. Are you ready? Never, ever cut the peduncle. The peduncle is the little flower stalk. It kind of looks like a tiny woody microphone stand just sticking out of the vine. When the flowers fade and drop off, the plant leaves this little nub behind. Why? Because it's going to bloom from that exact same spot again and again, year after year. Seriously, some peduncles are over a decade old and produce dozens of blooms every single summer. If you cut it off, you lose that blooming site forever, so leave the mic stand alone. Now, right before we wrap up our care section, let's settle a massive debate in the houseplant community about the two most popular variegated varieties of this plant. How do you actually tell a crimson queen apart from a crimson princess? Well, here's a super fun insider memory trick for you. A crimson queen has white or pink variegation on the leaf margins, the outer edges. Just remember, a queen wears her crown on her head, right on the outer edges. On the flip side, a crimson princess has the variegation right in the center of the leaf. Remember, a princess wears her gown in the middle. Boom, now you're a Hoya expert. Section 6, propagating your heirloom plant, cloning your Hoya. Because this plant lives for so long, you are inevitably going to want to take cuttings to share with your friends and family. You're basically cloning your Hoya. The most foolproof method outlined in our source is the sphagnum moss method. So, step 1, just snip a stem that has at least 2 nodes. Those are the little bumps where the leaves grow. Quick heads up though, Hoyas bleed this sticky, milky latex sap when you cut them, so definitely have a paper towel handy. Step 2, strip the leaves right off that bottom node because that is exactly where your new roots are going to pop out. Step 3, place that bare bottom node into some damp, squeezed out sphagnum moss. This gives it the perfect mix of humidity and airflow. And step 4, just wait 3 to 4 weeks for some strong roots to develop before you pot it up in that chunky soil mix we talked about earlier. We have covered a lot today. We've talked about the soil, the taco test, dealing with pests, and the secrets to getting those incredible porcelain flowers. Because the Hoya carnosa is just so drought tolerant and remarkably resilient, it truly becomes an investment piece for your home, which really leaves us with one final fascinating thought for you to consider as you kick off your Hoya journey. If you follow this complete care guide, there's a very good chance your plant will actually outlive you. So with a lifespan spanning multiple decades, who will inherit your Hoya?